55 דקות. תוכלו לשמוע אנגלית, לדבר קצת בעברית, וברגע שהולכים החוצה, רק עברית. So, the majority of this ceremony today will take place in English. So we just took a little time out from our pledge for our students. And the moment they exit through those doors, the full pledge is back on. My name is Elizabeth Garner. I have worked with Vardit for the last 5 years, every day in the office. And I've been part of the School of Hebrew for the last 11 years. We're here today to celebrate Vardit, the founder and director of the School of Hebrew, for the last 15 years. There are so many things I could say just to introduce this ceremony today. I could speak about Vardit's deep love of Hebrew, and you all know that Vardit is famous for her quotables. So one of my favorite quotes that Vardit says quite often is, "אני לא מבינה איך יש אנשים בעולם שקמים בבוקר ולא מדברים עברית." I don't understand how there are people in this world who wake up in the morning and can't speak Hebrew. Yep, right? I'm sure you've heard that. Another great quote from Vardit happened one day when I was concerned about her lack of sleep. As you know, she's available 24/7 to all of us, all the time. Her phone never stops ringing or dinging. And I said, "Vardit, are you sleeping enough? I'm a little worried." And she said, "Elizabeth, sleep is so boring. Think of all I could get done if I didn't have to sleep." So, another Vardit quote. Some of you have worked with Vardit for over 30 years and you know her incredibly well. Some of you met her 2 weeks ago. And today you're going to hear from a lot of different people who love Vardit and have worked with her, who are going to share about many different facets of her character and her leadership. And the one thing I would like to focus on just for a couple minutes is how she's invested in me and how I've seen her invest in all of you throughout the years. I was thinking of examples, and I went right back to my first summer at Middlebury in 2011. I was a complete beginner, knew no Hebrew, I was here, ready to learn. And I was pretty much mute for a few weeks, but I got a lot of input. So, before we signed the pledge, I walked up to Vardit. She had explained about all the co-curricular activities, and I thought, oh, great, soccer, I can play, I can hear, I don't have to speak, that's great. But I wanted to participate in Biblical Hebrew. So I went to Vardit at Rouse Cafeteria and I said, "Vardit, my name's Elizabeth, I'm a complete beginner. Can I participate in Biblical Hebrew?" And she said, "Oh, sure, we'll figure it out." So the next time I saw the calendar, there was Biblical Hebrew for beginners. Not only that, Vardit taught it all summer just because I asked for it. And I will never forget, Bereshit Perek Bet, I almost learned it Bal Peh because I practiced so much wanting to impress Vardit and also thank her for providing this just for me. The phrase I started out with, Toda shebatem, I remember the exact moment I learned that phrase. My first year after a soccer game, Vardit had come to cheer us on, which she's so busy. She was there, she was cheering for us. So I wanted to say, Vardit, I wanted to say thank you for coming. So I thought, English, Spanish, so I said something like, Ech omrim, toda, bishvil, at. It was like a mix of English and Spanish in my mind, and Vardit speaks Spanish, so she says, Toda Shabbat. And all these moments with Vardit that first summer, I mean, I can remember, I can feel how I felt, where I was, and I have so many more examples, but I know that all of you have experienced the same thing. She goes out of her way, time and time again, to support all of us. Like she'll say later, once Middlebury, always Middlebury. She stays in touch with everyone who's ever been part of the program, gives us career advice, sometimes just listens as a shoulder to cry on. I can't tell you how many people schedule meetings with her and she never says no. She's always available. And it's, obviously she's a visionary, she's incredibly intelligent, you know all her gifts, but I think her work with people is what I will remember most, and thankfully we'll continue working with Vardit throughout the next years to come. But a round of applause for Vardit. And now I'd like to invite Middlebury College President Lori Patton to speak a few words about Vardit.
Shalom, it's my honor and privilege to be speaking to you today on this very, very special occasion. The reason why I am here and not in Maine and sending a video, as we were all expecting, is a tragic one, and we, myself included, are still shattered and in a state of shock at the passing of our beloved provost on Friday morning, Jeff Kaysen, who was himself a champion of the language schools, the School of Hebrew in particular, and Vardit. So I do ask for a minute of silence to observe his passing. Thank you. And now I'd like to turn to Our Lady of Honor. I recognize that there are a few things I can say about Vardit Ringvald that you don't already know. I also understand how uncomfortable she must be feeling right now. We had to haul her out from sitting behind the podium, as Vardit is the one who by nature recedes from the spotlight and recoils from public attention. I'm sorry, my dear friend, but you don't get off so easily tonight. Perhaps there has been no one more critical to Middlebury's evolution as a leading institution for global teaching and learning during the first two decades of the 21st century than Vardit. Notice that I didn't start with Hebrew. I started with her effect on language learning in general and language learning at Middlebury. That's my job, is to give us a wider perspective, and that is how profound her influence has been. She came to us in 2008 as a pioneer in teacher education, more specifically as a leading scholar in Hebrew pedagogy, and as the founding director of Mid School of Hebrew. Her stature immediately signaled how serious we were about this endeavor, Middlebury's 10th language school. And that was before she had worked a single day at Middlebury. And then what she proceeded to do over the next 14 years was nothing less than transformational, not just, as I mentioned, for the School of Hebrew as an entity, or even for the landscape of the language schools more broadly. Her vision and tireless work ethic have proven to be an invaluable roadmap for all of Middlebury. Allow me to explain. We know many of the specifics. During Vardit's tenure with the School of Hebrew, she designed and implemented 2 intensive programs for modern Hebrew and an intensive program for classical Hebrew, as we just heard about. She designed and implemented a pair of innovative degree programs, a master's program in teaching Hebrew and a doctoral program in pedagogy and research. Years before a global pandemic forced Middlebury to close its doors in the spring of 2020, meaning that the language schools would not be offering in-person instruction that summer for the first time in their history, Vardit had already brought distance learning to the School of Hebrew as part of a year-round master's initiative, with Hebrew students learning in person during the summer and then online during the rest of the calendar year. During that dark and uncertain spring, while many of us were wondering if we'd need to cancel all the schools that summer, Vardit was already deep into instruction design, figuring out how to bring a year-round distance learning initiative to summer intensive education. Her efforts would be a roadmap, our roadmap, that metaphor again, for the rest of the schools and us to follow. And I should note, summer distance learning in the School of Hebrew continues to this day and continues to thrive, as you all know, bringing to us wonderful students who have previously been unable to commit to language study at Middlebury because a course of study in Vermont did not fit into their life plans. As we were figuring out, oh my God, can we do this? Vardit was sitting very resolutely saying, Nachon, of course. That is who she is. Here's why Vardit has been so successful and why we are so grateful that she has given so much of herself to Middlebury. She is both a visionary and a doer. I have met plenty of brilliant visionaries during my career, and the same can be said for industrious, innovative doers. But rarely do those two spaces intersect. Vardit not only occupies this narrow sliver of space in the Venn diagram of academic leadership, but she commands it, bringing with her those intellectual qualities and world-class credentials previously mentioned. So I am exceedingly grateful that you have blessed Middlebury with your life and your energy and your mind for these past 14 years. Too bad we couldn't make it 16. And while I am sad that you may be leaving this job, we know that you are not leaving us entirely. You're going to be back next year. We're not sure exactly in what capacity, but Vardit will be here with us in all sorts of wonderful and energetic ways. I'm comforted to know that you will continue to collaborate with teachers and students of Hebrew at Middlebury, as well as other language schools. You will continue to answer your phone when former Middlebury or current Middlebury students call for advice that only you can give. And you will continue to be a dear friend to us all. Personally, I will miss our ponderous lunches about how to create change, how to lead, how to remain centered throughout it all. But while you rarely, if ever, take a moment to celebrate, I am so glad you are doing so today, and I'm so honored to take part in this occasion. It is, in fact, Toda Rabah and Litvaot, nothing more than that, but also Mazel Tov. Congratulations.
Vardit, this moment of celebrating you on the occasion of your retirement from Middlebury marks extraordinary accomplishment of your work at I remember your clarity and confidence in that first conversation we had with you in Boston in the fall of 2006 about your willingness to jump in and give the Middlebury School of Hebrew concept a try. I also remember that I was out to here pregnant with Ezra at that point. He is now a rising junior in high school. And the School of Hebrew is now greater than 200 students strong, with students coming from all walks of life and all around the world. Congratulations, Vardit, for the standard you have set for excellence in second language acquisition in the context of cultural understanding, and for leading the way in professionalizing the teaching of Hebrew. Congratulations.
Vardit, when Jessica and I met with you in Boston in 2006 to see if you'd be willing to be the founding director of the new Middlebury School of Hebrew, I barely completed my sentence and you had already said yes without hesitation or any questions. And we're so fortunate that you did. And so now, as you retire from Middlebury, you will once again become the founding director of a new venture, this time the Consortium on Hebrew Language and Culture, housed at Brandeis. Your already enormous contributions in the field will be multiplied as you help develop the next generation of Hebrew teachers and learners. I should note that when I became president of Brandeis in 2016, the most commonly asked question I received was, you took Vardit away from us when you were president of Middlebury. How long until you bring her back? Well, it has taken 6 years, but this time it's a win-win for Middlebury, for Brandeis, and for the Hebrew teaching profession. Congratulations, Vardit, and thank you. We'll see you in Waltham come the fall. Congratulations.
When I first took over the language schools and schools abroad in 2005, one of the first things I did was that I talked to then President Ron Leibowitz about establishing a School of Hebrew. You all know how important that project was to my heart for any number of reasons that you also know very well. At the time, everyone thought I was crazy, except, of course, for Ron Leibowitz. A dear friend of mine on the Middlebury faculty, who today is very close to the School of Hebrew and may actually be watching this, said at the time, you have no chance. It's a great idea, but you won't get enough people to actually come to a Middlebury School of Hebrew. Ulpanim can do the job just as well, and that's where people are going to go. Well, Ron had a great idea when I talked to him. Apart from being very open to the idea, he also said, you know what, Michael, I know just the person you should approach to take over this school. And he gave me your name. And the rest, as they say, is history. You did an absolutely marvelous job taking a school that nobody thought would succeed, from about 28 students I think we had in our first year to what I heard was before the pandemic, about 180, if I remember that correctly, and making everybody feel welcome at this school. This, I think, was part of your secret. For one thing, you never said no to anybody who wanted to come to the school. Young or old, people from different walks of life, you welcomed them all. You also got me to never say no to you. You had a very nice way of being persistent, never giving up, always friendly, but always with good reasons. And I think I never said no to you, although you may remember this differently. But you had fantastic success, creating a place where people from not only the United States and Canada and Europe, but all over the world would come and study Hebrew and Jewish culture. At a time when anti-Semitism is on the rise again everywhere, on both sides of the Atlantic and all over the world, this is one of the most important places for people to come and study Hebrew, biblical Hebrew and modern Hebrew, and to learn more about Jewish culture. That is an incredible feat that you have accomplished over the years, and I congratulate you from the bottom of my heart. I'm sorry we weren't able to touch base again over the last 6 years, but maybe as you set out for new ventures, you and Miguel may want to visit us in our home in Milford, Connecticut, because I just retired myself this year at the age of 70. Or maybe I'll see you create a new Hebrew university somewhere in the United States or in Canada or in Brazil. Either way, thank you on behalf of the Middlebury community, my former job, and on behalf of the many, many participants in the School of Hebrew over the years for a job well done. You are absolutely top-notch, and whatever you do next, it will be a success. Thank you again, and good luck to you and Miguel. Bye-bye.
Now I would like to invite Vardit's sons, Alan and Jonathan Ringvald, to the stage.
My mom and I immigrated to the US together, just me and her. I was a toddler, and my mom was really just a kid herself in her mid-20s. We were meeting my dad, who had just started his business school program in a strange town called Boston. It was February in the Northeast, which didn't mean anything to us at the time, but once we stepped out of the airport, that cold, wintry blast of air was something my mom and I would never forget. We had just come from the tropical Uruguayan summer, and honestly, we just wanted to turn around and head back onto the plane and get back to the beach. We thought we were going to be in this weird town, like this weird cold town, for maybe a few years, and it's been over 37 years at this point, so we'll see. While my dad was studying really hard in school, we lived in the Boston University dorms, and we desperately needed some income. My mom, being a young Israeli woman with an art history degree, applied for the only job she thought she could get at the time, Hebrew teacher. With a lot of persistence and a little bit of luck, my mom met a woman named Ruth, who let my mom's questionable work status slide and gave her her first real job at this other weird-sounding place called Brandeis. And the rest, as we all know, is history. Over the years, I watched how my mom juggled 2 young kids, worked full-time, got her PhD in her non-native language, and professionalized what it meant to teach Hebrew. I remember sitting in my mom's classes as she was just starting her career, wondering why all these college kids were so mesmerized by watching her talk. Now I know why. She wasn't your average Hebrew school teacher. She contextualized Hebrew for them in a completely different and dynamic way. She rose up from assistant teacher to lecturer to professor to department head to running several different departments and eventually deciding to leave her very established career at Brandeis and come to some upstart Hebrew summer program in some remote part of Vermont with just a few students. I honestly really wasn't sure what she was doing. But my mom, just as she has always done when she arrived in a new situation, put her head down, got to work, and raised the level of the program and everyone around her, making it the powerhouse that it is today. Ima, you are the most courageous person I have ever met. You inspire me every day and have made me the person I am. I'm so lucky to call you my mom. I love you.
Wow, that's going to be hard to follow. Thanks, Alan. This is just a warm-up speech for when you become, when you become this, well, you're already accomplished, but when you, I'll give you a speech like this for you one day. Yeah, not about, today it's not about you. Usually I have like a lot of anxiety for these kinds of things because, it's public speaking, right? But I feel like I know pretty much everyone in here over the years. We've either met at on campus or somewhere else or in an activity. But I just wanted to share a couple of stories about my mom. The first one is I sat in on a Hebrew class with my mom at Brandeis once. One, I thought it would be a really easy A. Two, I thought it would be really neat to take a class with my mom. I feel like that would be a really unique experience. And three, there was a really pretty girl I wanted to talk to. But yeah, all those reasons were really cool, but throughout the experience, I saw my mom transform. She wasn't my mom anymore. It was somebody who was an amazing professional, and it was probably the 1,000th class she'd ever taught, but she became this person that was impossible to take your eyes off of. And not only a teacher, but really an entertainer and really an incredible professional. The second story I wanted to share was from the beginning of the School of Hebrew. I was right there at the start when there were only 28 students. I remember Timi and Tal from the start. They welcomed us with open arms along with many of you. I just remember taking like books across campus and big bags of balls for activities and all these things, just running them around, whenever my mom wanted me to. And I remember her just scrambling to come up with these events and activities for these teachers. As someone who's creating something for these people every day, every moment, coming up and improvising something new. Not that she also didn't plan a lot of stuff out. But I remember one event specifically, she just one morning on Saturday, she told me to just go to the library and pick a Hebrew children's book, just anything. And I brought it to her on that Saturday, and she sat there and just literally told a story to 28 adult students, a children's story, just sat there, and they were just enraptured, and they were just focusing on every word that she was saying. And it was really cool to watch, because that's the effect that she has on so many people, but for me too. But yeah, that's it. Those are the two stories, but yeah, my mom's an amazing person, and I'm glad you all got to experience her and continue to get to experience her, and I'm so lucky to have her as my mom. So thank you so much.
מלאכית, angel.
מדהימה, superite.
מובילה ופורצת דרך, ahead of the curve. יזמית. entrepreneur.
קסם, magic.
בונה קהילות. Community builder. Empowering מעצים.
The little engine that could. המנוע. ורדית המנוע.
כלילת מעלות, וירטואוסו. מורה מתמדת, יוצרת, אישה מדהימה, שמעוררת השראה. אוהבת אותך ורדית. I love you ורדית.
vision, חזון.
visionary, בעלת חזון.
אשת חזון, a visionary.
בעלת חזון, visionary.
אשת חזון, visionary.
מנהיגה בעלת חזון, a leader and a visionary. השראה, inspiration.
מעוררת השראה, inspiring.
מעוררת השראה, inspiring.
השראה, inspiration.
מעוררת השראה, inspiring.
השראה.
inspiration.
היא השראה.
inspiring. השראה, inspiration.
inspiration, השראה.
השראה, inspiration.
עוצמה. strength.
תופעת טבע, force of nature.
לב ענק ונתינה אין סופית.
ורדית, את פורצת דרך, ובאנגלית העניין. תודה.
חזקה, strong.
מקרו, the big picture.
מדהימה, amazing.
מנהיגה, leader.
חדשנית, innovator.
יכולת הכלה כמעט אינסופית, containing.
I would say tenacious.
תומכת, supporting.
נשמה.
מקצועיות, יושרה וענווה. professionalism, integrity and humility.
המנטורית שלי לעד, my forever mentor.
קשובה לאחרים, a great listener.
חכמה. smart.
מלכת השבט העברי בארצות הברית, the queen of Hebrew tribe in the United States. This is Vardit.
פורצת דרך.
המומחית בשדה, the expert in the field.
תדעת בבית.
dreamer, חולמת.
משפחה, family.
אחת ויחידה, the one and only.
Persistent.
נחישות. determination.
Vardit היא חוכמה. Vardit is the definition of wisdom.
אין דומה לה, incomparable.
אמון, trust.
one and only, אחת ויחידה.
צנועה, humble.
משוגעת לדבר, crazy for the thing.
מנהיגה, leader.
אופקים חדשים, new horizons.
חלוצה, pioneer.
מנטורית.
ורדית האהובה, את היא השמש של חיי, you are the sunshine of my life.
נגישה, approachable.
מדהימה, amazing.
ורדית מנהיגה.
ייחודית.
מושלמת.
perceptive.
היי ורדית, אני שומע שאת עושה חיל, זאת ממש שליחות, שיהיה לך בהצלחה בהמשך דרכך, ממני ומכל הישראלים שמצטרפים אליי, אם זה מנתניה, אם זה ממקומות אחרים, בריאות ובהצלחה.
אהלן ורדית, נועם, איילת. קודם כל, תודה. תודה על ההזדמנות, תודה על הזמן ותודה על המקום, כי הבאת אותנו פה לחלום, חד משמעית חלום. אנחנו מאחלים לך קודם כל שתצליחי, לא שאת צריכה את זה, אבל תצליחי במה שתעשי, ושתדעי לך שלא משנה מה תעשי ולאן תלכי, בעיניים עצומות, אני אומר את זה בעיניים עצומות, אני אחרייך והילד גם, כי מה שהילד עושה אני עושה אחריה בעיניים עצומות, אחרייך. איפה שלא תגידי לנו, אנחנו אחרייך. נכון הילד?
תגידי לנו לאן להגיד חטפסים.
תודה רבה. עיניים עצומות ורדית.
Thank you for believing in me.
Brave.
אמיצה.
Hero. Gibora.
I've been with Vardit more than 43 years. I can say a lot of things about her, but the most important, that she's the love of my life.
ורדית. אז זה יהיה שיר אחד מתוך שניים. בסופו אני גם אתן לך את המילים שיש לי פה. את המנגינה את מכירה. כשתעזבי ותשאירי אותנו עם מוטיבציה ומלאי השראה, תודה על שהפכת אותנו לצוות ועל שניפצת את התקרה בין השבילים ובשיחים מסתתרת כדי לוודא שלא שוברים פה שבועה. גם באגם ממש לידינו יושבת מבלי ששמנו לב שזה קרה. 15 שנים ורדית שמדברים פה רק עברית, בקסם קיץ שבנית. נשיר פזמון שוב. 15 שנים ורדית שמדברים פה רק עברית, בקסם קיץ שבנית. כן נפרדים ומתפצלת הדרך, את לפרויקט חיים שירשם על שמך. אנחנו נישאר לשמור על הגחלת, גם אם זה לא ברור עוד איך. 15 שנים ורדית שמדברים פה רק עברית, בקסם קיץ שבנית. תודה ורדית. אני אזמין את קודמי לתפקיד של הניהול מוזיקה, שיברך גם ונשיר ביחד. אורי.
עם ישראל, גם אני רוצה לאחל לוורדית המון 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 מהצלחה, ואני בטוח שאיפה שלא תהיי תעשי מלא מלא טוב. יאללה, רוני, מוכן?
מוכן.
1, 2, 3. השביל הזה מתחיל צעד בין סניף בנק למעיין לא סלול, לא תמיד מסומן. השביל הזה מתחיל כאן, חוצה את העיר, עולה על ההר, ממשיך על הים, ממשיך גם מחר, חותך באוויר בין הבתים, יוצא לאור אל חיים חדשים. לכי עליו, עלי עליו עכשיו, לכי עליו, עלי עליו עכשיו. מלאכי ציפורים מלאים מלווים את צעדייך, מרחוק נדלק אור, אל תסתי כדי שתוכלי לחזור. השיר הזה מתחיל כאן, כחול על הדף הלבן, לא גמור, לא תמיד מכוון. השיר הזה מתחיל כאן, חוצה את העיר, עולה על ההר, ממשיך על הים, ממשיך גם מחר, חותך באוויר בין אנשים, יוצא לאור אל חיים חדשים. לכי עליו, עלי עליו עכשיו, לכי עליו, עלי עליו עכשיו. מלאכי ציפורים מעלייך מלווים את צעדייך, מרחוק נדלק אור, אל תסתי כדי שתוכלי לחזור.
What spectacular tributes, Vardit. You have been serenaded and feted. You've become a one-woman thesaurus. What's left? I have only the honor of introducing you so that you can speak to people who are waiting to hear from you. But before I do, I want to say, on behalf of my language school colleagues and your fellow directors who are here today, what a privilege and a joy it's been to work with you for these past 8 years. And for me personally, I will miss you deeply. I've been in awe of what you've been able to accomplish in that time, and I look forward to seeing the next chapter with going to the consortium. I think back over these last 8 years on our many meetings and all the time we spent planning how to get something done that didn't really fit into the language school's model, or more often than not into the language school's budget. But you always had a crystal clear vision for what needed to be accomplished and almost infinite energy and creativity to make it happen. It's been an honor and an inspiration for the language schools to have you as a colleague and a collaborator, and for me to have you as a friend. Now let me tell you a little bit about Vardit, some non-trivial details that no one's mentioned so far. She currently serves as the CV Star Professor in Language and Linguistics and Director of the Middlebury School of Hebrew. She was appointed as founding director in 2008, while serving as Professor of Hebrew and Director of the Hebrew and Arabic Languages Program at Brandeis. Beginning in September, she will be responsible for oversight and implementation of Hebrew Across America 2020, with duties ranging from recruitment of new faculty to curricular design and budget administration. Vardit began her career at Brandeis in 1985, teaching Hebrew language, culture, and Hebrew teaching pedagogy. She founded the Hebrew Language Summer Institute at Brandeis in 1996 and created the Master of Arts Teaching of Hebrew in 1998. Beyond teaching, she has served the field of Hebrew language instruction as a team member for the development of the Hebrew Proficiency Guidelines for ACTFL and Hebrew Proficiency Curriculum Frameworks for Secondary and Post-Secondary Education for ACTFL and the U.S. Department of Education. She also served as chair of the team that developed the SAT-2 for Hebrew and as advisor for the Hebrew to the National Middle Eastern Language Resource Center. She currently serves on the Committee for Hebrew Language Pedagogy for the National Association of Professors of Hebrew and as board member for the Council for Hebrew Language and Culture in North America. She's also the primary author of Brandeis Modern Hebrew, a 2-volume work based on the proficiency method, which is arguably the most used modern Hebrew textbook in the United States. An active consultant to a wide range of schools and organizations that teach Hebrew around the world. Needless to say, Vardit's areas of expertise par excellence are curriculum development and assessment. Let me say again what a joy it's been to work with you, and that we're counting on your ongoing collaboration with the language schools and with Middlebury for years to come. Please join me in celebrating Vardit Ringvald.
תודה רבה. Well, when I asked Elizabeth how long can I speak, and she said, whatever you want, this is your night. So. Like many Israelis, I grew up in a multilingual country, in a multilingual neighborhood, in a multilingual family. My father surrounded himself with multiple languages, among them Esperanto. He believed that Esperanto would be the language that could bring peace and harmony to the world. My mother spoke Hungarian with him, with my father, and with her relatives, negotiated in Yiddish in the store, and secretly read women's journals in German, a language she picked up during the war. I also had to learn Yiddish in order to get my favorite candy in this grocery store, and some Moroccan Arabic, Polish, and Romanian in order to communicate with my neighbors. Learning languages was a value that was instilled in my sister and me from a very young age. My parents sent us to private lessons, especially because their life experience told them that languages were the key to navigate the world and its people and to be able to make a difference. However, at home, we only spoke Hebrew. It was clear to us that Hebrew was not like any other language. For my parents, this was one of the most tangible reminder of their victory as survivors. For them, speaking Hebrew, reading in Hebrew, listening to Hebrew was a daily miracle. And at the same time, a language that needs a special attention in order to be kept alive. We used to sit in the dining table discussing the meaning of words, understanding their roots, and comparing them to other Semitic languages that my father was a specialist in. I still remember the spark in my father's eyes when he could identify the layers of Jewish history through a very simple spoken words in Hebrew. Hebrew was a sacred ritual for us. My father even declined a very lucrative job abroad because he could not bear the thought that my sister and I will not be studying the Bible in Hebrew in a foreign country, in a foreign school. So as you can see, the immersive, intensive experience in Hebrew was already very much a part of me long before I even knew what the language schools were all about. The language schools were all about. I didn't even know where Middlebury is, or Vermont, to say the least at that time. So it felt very familiar to me when I got the offer to become one of the small group of people honored with the opportunity to found a language school at Middlebury. Becoming the first director of the School of Hebrew, for me, felt like coming home to my family roots and what I had known all my life, which is living a life in Hebrew. In our first year, in summer of 2008, we were a small school with 28 students, 4 faculty members, and 1 bilingual. And like many families, we grew. 15 years later, we have around 200 students who study with us each year in 4 language programs, 2 cohorts of MA students, and 6 cohorts of doctorate students. I hope you approve, right? Like any family, each of our students is surrounded by many caretakers, the faculty, the staff, with the expertise and knowledge who create the experience that I had as a child, the magic of Hebrew. When I walk around the school and I meet students, I can see the sparks in their eyes and I can feel their excitement when they are able to express themselves in Hebrew. Like in any other initiative, success is possible when you have people who believe in you and are willing to support you. I'm so grateful to all of those who have made the school possible. First of all, I would like to say toda rabba, to the president of Middlebury College, a dear friend, and to Steve Snyder, another friend in the school, and Sue and Chuck from the Advancement Office, for always listening to our Hebrew family needs and for being responsive to us with love, care, and always willing to help. Thank you so much. And I also would like to take this opportunity to thank a special friend, the late Middlebury Provost, Jeff Kayson. Jeff was a fan and supporter and was always ready to explore with me new ideas on how to expand and grow the school. Sadly, Jeff is no longer with us, and we, the member of the School of Hebrew, would like to send our deepest condolences to his family and to the entire Middlebury community. He will be missed. Special thanks to Ron and Jessica Leibovitz and their family, Heshi, Ezra, and Shoshana, for opening the door to this enchanted place for me and for all of us, and for making us part of your family and guiding me through the crucial stage of my first phase as a director. To Michael Geisler, the previous dean of the language schools, and to Timmy Meyer for welcoming us to Middlebury family with open arms and with open heart and always with a smile. Thank you, Timmy. To the friends of the School of Hebrew, thank you for believing in our mission, for your unbelievable generosity, for sharing your resources to support us and our students so that they can enjoy the benefit of our richness, the richness of what the school can offer. Your support was crucial for the creation of the school, and it is crucial for continuing its success. To the first group of brave teachers who accompanied me to this remote campus on the hill, and to those who have joined us since then, you are wonderful, amazing. You are the one who make the school happen every day, 24/7, for the students and for me, by fulfilling a variety of tasks beyond the classroom, as leaders in the co-curricular activities, in mentoring new faculty, in supporting me while I'm running the school, as academic director, as advisor to our graduate students, and so much more. Thank you. Thank you from the beginning. To the supporting staff, the bilinguals, the TAs, the specialists, the musician, the tennis teacher, and so forth. Your success is priceless, and more than that, your commitment and your friendship. You are part of our family. To all our hundreds and hundreds of students from all over the world, thank you for entrusting us with the ability to instill in you the love, knowledge, and skills of the Hebrew language. And a special thanks to Elizabeth Gerner and Bella Ben-Simon, who kept the flame of the school alive during the last few difficult years. We could not survive the daily life of the school without you. You do it all. You support the students from the moment they show interest in joining us, through the enrollment process, taking care of their financial needs, their accommodation, while at the same time take care of us, the teachers, and me. Without you, we could not exist. And as And I want to thank the entire language schools, the directors, the staff, the dean, that from time to time saw us as the hyperactive family member of the language schools. Thank you for understanding, and thank you for your patience and your willingness to nurture us over the years, right? Okay. And a special thanks to my family. Miguel, you're also the love of my life. Ohad, and the new addition, Marissa, and Jonathan, who know that for me, Hebrew is a way of life, for supporting me and for holding my hand during this challenging journey. Your support is the reason that I was able to accomplish this task. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now, like a mature family, its time has come to expand. In the next phase, the goal is to create communities of Hebrew learners in which the School of Hebrew at Middlebury will be the lighthouse that shows the way to the new Hebrew family members. It's an exciting time in which your participation in the Middlebury family is crucial for the success of this expansion. Therefore, surprise, I'm not leaving, really. I'm not leaving the school, I'm taking the School of Hebrew with me into the next chapter. My students and colleagues know very well my mantra, which is once Middlebury, always Middlebury, and today I would like to add, once School of Hebrew, always School of Hebrew. Toda rabba.
Okay, we have a couple gifts for Vardit. If you would open the first one. Sarah will open it for you, yes. And then we're gonna need Jonathan and Alan's help for the second, the bigger gift. So the first gift is a picture book from Vardit's 15 years at Middlebury. Many of you have signed it, and faculty and staff, you'll have a chance later if you didn't get to sign it. So you can enjoy that later. And then, this might take a second to get ready. Drum roll, please. Keep it going. All right, we have a special gift for Vardit, a t-shirt quilt, which almost has every t-shirt from the last 15 years, plus a few from Brandeis. And special thanks to Nir, Esther Shore, and Guy for donating their t-shirts. So we hope that you enjoy this. Also, special thanks to Jonathan for preparing all of our videos for today. So everyone, another round of applause for Vardit. Okay, students, you are dismissed. And you're back on the pledge. And then faculty and staff and guests, if you could stay for just a moment, I have a couple announcements. Thank you.